hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell at before you blow up a plane.
Basha K. Ali!
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what, good thing to say, I dabbled in stand-up or something. I haven't been disrespectful to you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayr podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Rumble, Rockfin, all of the places. Thanks for watching tonight. I'm really excited for our guest. Before I bring her on, I want to mention some dates to you guys. Comedy dates, stand-up comedy. Yes. If you're in Connecticut, come on out to Bridgeport Thursday the 23rd. I'll be at the Stress Factory in Bridgeport. Keanu Thompson will be opening for me there. Then I got a bunch of gigs in New York City, Saturday, March 25th, an 8 and a 10 o'clock at the Grizzly Pear in Midtown. That's on West 54th Street, not the one on McDougal Street near Comedy Cellar. This is the better one. Gino Bisconti will be hosting. Keanu Thompson and Andrew Harms will be doing spots on the show as well. So if you're a fan of Compound Media, come on out to that show. Then I'm heading to Staten Island Friday, April 7th, headlining the Reef at Paradise Island. Sounds tropical. Definitely isn't. It's Staten Island, but I'm excited to go back. Then we got Jersey, Saturday, April 8th. It might be nice. It'll be April. Saturday, April 8th in Morris Plains at Tiff's Ale House, also known as the Dojo of Comedy. Coming out to that show. That's 9 o'clock. And then I'll be heading to Vegas Thursday, April 27th. I'll be headlining The Space. Lila Hart will be opening for me there. And it's the same weekend as the Friday Night Tights, Geeks and Gamers meetup. So if you're in town for that, definitely come to this show. Tickets are going pretty quick. So if it sells out well, they will add a late show. Then I'm going to Dallas for the first week in May. Going to do some appearances at the Blaze with primetime Alex Steyn, my good friend Alex Steyn. Then I'll be at Hyenas Comedy Club Friday, May 5th and Saturday, May 6th. 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. Lila Hart will be opening for me here as well. And maybe we can get Alex Steyn to come through and do some guest spots. Then I'm heading to Richmond, Virginia, Wednesday, August 9th to headline the Sandman Comedy Club. I haven't performed in Virginia before, so I'm excited about that. Then we got Anime Matsuri in August. The convention is from August 10th through the 13th. Simcast will have a panel and booth at this convention. Then I'm headlining in Houston that same weekend, Friday, August 11th at the Secret Group. Get your tickets now. If you know you're going to be at Anime Matsuri, just get tickets to this show. It's like an unofficial after party. Still early enough that you guys can drink afterwards and get into some mischief. Bring your cosplays, whatever. Nerds are welcome. You know how I feel about the nerds. Thank you, Master Austin, for becoming a new member. This is like British Day for me. I'm so exciting. We had Jess Gill on earlier, and now we have another Brit. She's a social commentator, and she is a regular on the Mark Steyn show, and among many other things that we will get into. So excited to have her here. Leilani Dowding, hello and welcome.
Hi, Chrissie. Thank you so much for having me on here. It's fun to be doing something in America for once.
You're in America right now. I like it. It's very exciting. It reminds me of how horrible my own accent is. Like whenever I have somebody from the UK or really anywhere else, I think sounds better than me. But so everyone just focus on Leilani's voice, and mine kind of sounds like going tanning and eating bagels. And
no, I really like your voice. I used to live in Los Angeles for like 17 years, and so that accent I'm not so sure about anymore. So, but
okay,
New York, East Coast, I like it.
Oh, and like, so you speak of LA, you have a very interesting backstory because you you had like an acting background. You were in The Real Housewives of Cheshire, which is that was that kind of like, I know it's a popular show no matter like what city the show is based in, but where is Cheshire? Is that like
So
your Atlanta?
yeah, no. So Cheshire's actually the north of the country. It's I don't live in Cheshire anymore. But my fiance and I were moving back to England from Los Angeles, and he's from a place called Manchester. So you've probably heard of Manchester.
Oh
That's
yeah.
up north. So if you move into the suburbs of Manchester, then you get to Cheshire. It's its own little county, a little bit south, where it's much greener, and the houses are bigger because it's not in the city, it's in the suburbs. So they chose that because a lot of people in London live in condos and it kind of wouldn't have the same vibe. They wanted like houses and space and what have you. So yeah, that's where Cheshire is. And I don't live there anymore. I live a couple of counties down in a place called Staffordshire now.
So don't try to find her there. Don't if you're waiting outside her house right now in Cheshire, you're at the wrong place.
Yeah, I did one season and that's it for me. I was like, oh, I can't take it. I got to go.
Did you pursue acting like in high school and college? Like, did you know that that's what you wanted to be out the gate, or did you just kind of fall into it because it's more
No,
of a
because
reality?
it's reality. I didn't do anything like that. I was actually studying economics at uni. I can't act to save my life. And so
So you're perfect for Real Housewives.
yeah. And a lot of people think that things are staged or arguments, but it's not. It's like things are set up in a certain way. Like producers will kind of say where we're going to meet and what have you, or mention how a conversation they want, or the subject of the conversation they want us to talk about. But nothing's kind of directed or anything like that, and the arguments are definitely real. But yeah, no, it was a funny one.
And were you single? Is everybody single at the time when they do Real? Like, well, how does it go? No, that's The Bachelor. My friend did The Bachelor, and she's like married with kids now. But I always think it's so funny that she was legitimately on The Bachelor. No, with Real Housewives, they just like observe you in your kind of natural state, and I guess just hope for cat fights.
Yeah, and which there are, because there are very strong characters, and they purposely get a selection of women with very different and very strong characters and just kind of put them together. And sometimes things are great, and then sometimes things blow up. But The Bachelor was a weird one to me because it's like these women fighting over a man, and it's like if a guy chooses another woman, I am not gonna fight for you. Like
me too. I'd be like, good luck. I'd be like, have fun. I'll be over here. I would be like visually surly about it. I'd be the one like Bachelorette, like in the corner, like, fine, he can do whatever he wants. I'm over it. Like I would just like if I could just drink and make friends with the other girls, be like, he can have her. Let's see how long this lasts.
Yeah, we would not be good Bachelor contestants.
That's cool. Okay, and so how did you become sort of politically activated? How did you come to be a regular contributor to the Mark Steyn show? And for people who don't know who Mark Steyn is, could you give a little bit of background about him?
So Mark Steyn, I think he's Canadian. He's an author. He's does some music. He actually fought the free speech laws in Canada as well, with Ezra Levant. But Mark was in the UK as a broadcaster, as an anchor for a show on GB News called The Mark Steyn Show. He's now doing Steyn Online on his website. He's doing the Mark Steyn Show on Steyn Online, his website, because he got in trouble with Ofcom. So that's why it says Ofcom, the thought criminal. Prior to leaving GB News, he had a couple of investigations, and they were actually orchestrated by the public. People that didn't particularly like him or had opposing views wrote to Ofcom, the regulator of British TV, and complained about his show. But it was such an orchestrated attack because it was these people on Twitter that would say, okay, here's the link, report this show at this time, and kind of say, this is why you didn't like it. So I think he ended up leaving GB News and continued the show on his own platform. And then I've been contributing to his show. It started on GB News, obviously, but I've moved over and gone onto his platform to contribute there. Absolutely brilliant guy to work for, and he's probably like the biggest bastion of free speech in the UK. He was the first one to kind of talk about damages that people receive from the thingamajig.
I love how careful you're being.
Yeah, you know, I know it's
injured
YouTube.
people.
So yeah, he was the first person really to give them a platform in the UK, and I think that's what got a lot of people's backup who were like COVID fanatics. And they're like, right, let's go and attack him now and like orchestrate this whole thing against him. So yeah, that's what happened.
Okay, because I was going to ask why people came after to cancel him, and you think it was mostly his COVID views, basically just like the crime of being a based Canadian is enough for cancellation, it seems.
Yeah, for sure. Because you know what, though, he's going to lawyer up and he's going to fight this, because that's what Mark does. He's like a fighter and a champion for free speech. So, you know, I don't think they realize, they obviously didn't Google him. So
the show was originally on Ofcom.
Oh no, so the show was on GB News, and then
GB News. Okay.
Yeah, and then Ofcom is the regulator of everything on British TV. I don't think you have one in America. That's what's crazy. It's the regulator for British TV. So usually complaints are like, oh, we were watching Dancing with the Stars, the UK version, and someone's dress was a little too skimpy, and people might write in a complaint about that.
So narcs, the hall monitors.
Yeah, or you know, there was a reality show and someone was bullied a bit. They write in, but usually people have to be watching the show. But a lot of the people writing in to complain weren't people that watched the show. They were people that
Just haters, yeah,
they were like, right, let's just go after him and we'll watch everybody. So I'll send this out to my followers, and then my followers will go and like report him.
That's kind of how it goes with my haters too. They're not people who've ever been to a show or have listened to a few episodes. They're just like, oh, she's not funny, she sucks, she's an unfunny female, like cancel, let's call up a venue. And I've had people people who watch know this, but I've had people call up venues where I'm supposed to perform and be like, oh, Chrissie's gonna host a racist party here, and they'll call up the surrounding venues and be like, we need to cancel it because she's so racist. And then it's like, you go to my show and it's like, I don't know, and it's a blast. And
you know, that happens so much. It's like a certain demographic of people that just go, right, let's get them cancelled and call their work and call their employers and call anywhere that they're going to be, and any like trade show that they're going to do, or any comedy club or music. It's disgusting.
How did Mark Steyn find you?
So that's a really weird thing. I had never meant to kind of get into this. It was never like kind of the path that I was going down. I was just, as like the Real Housewife says, I was just kind of living at home, riding my horses, but I was always speaking out.
You're an equestrian, right? Because I was looking at some of your YouTube. I think that's so cute. You're a horse girl.
Yes. Yeah. No, I have 3 horses. So
oh my God, what kinds? I don't even know the kinds. I just like I've never met somebody with horses. So
a thoroughbred and 2 little warm bloods. So
it's called worm blood or warm blood?
Like warm blood, like the temperature.
Like a worm? Oh, warm. Okay.
Sorry, like a warm blood. I don't know why they're called that. They say it's a mix of a hot blood and a cold blood, but their blood's actually the same. But yeah. So I got 3. So anyway, I've always been an opinionated person. I've always wanted to stick up for what I think is right. And I've never really been political, but when the lockdowns first happened, I'm like, this is insane. And this is going to be so damaging to so many people in so many different ways. And I spoke out about it on my Instagram, on my Twitter, Actually, no, I didn't have Twitter then. It was just really Instagram. And I built quite a following. First of all, I lost a whole load of people, and people would attack me and say I was selfish and this was insane of me.
Oh, yeah. You're killing grandma. You're the worst person ever. Yep.
All of that stuff. So I got all of that. And then all of a sudden, I had people that were like, you know, Leilani, I feel the same way. I have no one to speak to about this. I feel so isolated. I don't know what to do. I can't work. I can't earn money. My children are suffering. My kids won't speak. They're going into themselves. All of this. And, you know, this was before my horses were at home. I would be allowed to go to my horses because that was classed as essential. And while I was there, I would see the little kids that had horses, and it was great for them. It was like pony club. They were off school. They could ride their ponies. It was like pony club. And I was thinking, what about all these kids that live in London in flats, in condos, and like a tiny little one, like kind of like the projects, like a tiny little one where they've got 3 brothers and sisters to one room and one computer and maybe
grass,
a tablet,
no park.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's
like
not
New
like
York
my
City
life.
kids. Yeah.
It's not like that. So I was like, I cannot sit here and say nothing when I have the ability to do so. I can't get cancelled. I don't have a boss. I work for myself. You know, I have a passive income. So if I don't say anything, I'm going to be doing an injustice to people. And then, I don't know, Mark's people. Then I think I got picked up for a couple of like little interviews here and there. The newspapers in Britain like absolutely trashed me because I'd been on The Real Housewives.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I was slightly known, so they trashed me. So I think a couple of people wanted to interview me on alternative platforms, and somehow Mark saw me and asked me to commentate. And as I said, he was the one person that wanted like free speech.
Oh, wow. Yeah, especially if you're a Real Housewife, they definitely don't expect you to have any kind of opinions that are different than the mainstream, because they figure, all right, you're an actress or you're in a reality star or whatever. They kind of just want you to like behave and like, you know, just be dramatic when in the way that they want you to for the show.
It's like fight about handbags or fight about someone's makeup or their dress. Like, don't have opinion about anything.
Can't
real.
you fight about handbags? Yeah. Let me pull this up here. So what year were you on The Real House? Was this? No, you weren't on it in 2020. What year were you on the show?
Oh, it was just before. I think it was 1919, 2019. Oh my God. Look.
Okay. I'm like 1919. You look really good for your age.
You know what? I've been watching 1923. Is it like, on like the Yellowstone spin-off. So all my dates are all like messed up in my head. I can only think of like 1883 and 1923, those like those TV shows. But yeah, no, I was on it, I think 2019. Could have been 2018. Okay.
And they say you're a former Page 3 model. What does that mean?
Oh gosh, so this is what Americans won't understand.
Okay. I know what Page 6 is, but that's it.
Okay, so I am now 44. So I did this so long ago, okay? So no one judge me.
No judges. This is a judgment-free zone.
So when I was, I think I was like 19 at the time, I did Page 3, and Page 3 is on page 3 of the newspapers in the UK, there would be a topless girl, but it would always be the same topless girl every couple of weeks. And there was a different one every day. So I would do it every couple of weeks between the 2 different newspapers. So I guess it would be like kind of being like a playmate, but you don't go fully naked. It's only like topless.
Okay. That's not a big deal.
So, yeah. But it's banned now, obviously, because, you know, the feminists.
Because boobs are canceled. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're a drag queen, then.
Right. Then that's fine.
That's okay.
Yeah. They'd rather you just remove them than have them out. Unless you're a drag queen, of course. Unless they're fake. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, mastectomy, scars for cosmetic reasons, that's all cool. But gosh forbid, fake, real boobs, no.
Did you get any? So the more outspoken you become, have you gotten a lot of backlash from, you know, fans of the show or any of the girls that you knew from the show, or just, you know, people in general?
I only spoke to a couple of them after, and occasionally I speak to them. I would usually speak to them on Instagram, but then my Instagram got taken. So
What happened to Instagram?
Yeah, no, just for speaking out, getting reported by
Just
a
for
load of
living.
people.
Mhm.
So yeah, my Instagram got taken down. But I got this new one down there. I can't use my real name, my full name.
Lonnie Dowd. It's someone different. It's yeah.
Yeah, not me.
It's
me.
She loves that account though. Yeah.
But yeah, so I did get loads of backlash. I got loads and loads. And you know what though? I feel like it sounds really silly, but when I was doing page 3, I had a lot of people speak negatively about it. So I think it just toughened me up, and
You were used to it. Yeah.
yeah, it goes over my head.
Do you remember anything in particular, like on Instagram, that got you to lose your account, or what made people want to report you?
Oh, there was probably so much. Like I was
Yeah.
so against the lockdowns. I wouldn't wear a mask. People were so
Yeah.
people were so afraid. Okay, so in America, I think you were forced to. In the UK, you were allowed to say that you were exempt, and you could self-certify yourself as being exempt. So I could go into a shop and say I'm exempt, and they're not allowed to ask you why. And you could be exempt for physical reasons or disabilities, or you could say like it would give me panic attacks. Well, they can't prove that, right? And you don't have to justify it. So I'd say, so I would be on my Instagram saying, look, this is how easy it is. And obviously,
yeah,
right.
Giving people tips. In America, we had that rule in theory, but in practice, like the Karens would come out and shout you down in stores or just give you mega dirty looks. People would always say something, but you just have to get to a point where you're like, yeah, sorry, what are you gonna do? I don't give a fuck. You'd be like, or you'd be in a store, you'd be like, okay, I could pay for this and leave, or I could just leave my groceries here and then just walk out. Or a lot of times, like with delis and like quick places to get food, it's like, okay, I have this in a tray already. You can just let me pay for it and walk out, or this food is going to be wasted. And most of the time the people would be like, okay, like just pay and go. And the coping that people would be like, well, I can hand you a mask, but I can't hand you like the coffee you just ordered. So
yeah, and it varied state to state in the USA, didn't it? It really varied state to state.
It really did. Yeah. The red states were more relaxed about it. Of course, Florida was like, paradise. Basically, Texas was good. Tennessee, the typical like red states didn't care as much, or they were more pro freedom. And then you have like New York, Massachusetts, were pretty hardcore about it. So, but even it varies too by county. Like as soon as you get out of the city, New York is pretty red overall. Like
Right.
Long Island's very red. Upstate is pretty red, except for a few counties. So it really depends on like where you were. But I think it was good to I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to push it. I'm going to push the limits of wherever I am. And what's the worst that can happen? Okay, maybe I'll get $100 fine, and then it just would never happen. So
yeah, that's what they did, isn't it? They really like pushed that you might get fined and the police might come and arrest you. And then I feel like I was guilty of maybe scaring some people in a way, because I wanted to kind of say, look, this is what happens if we don't push back. And then I would show like someone getting arrested or something. But then I realized that this is the way that I can now scare people into thinking that they have to do it or they get arrested. So I was like, right, I'm going to demonstrate how you do it. And then here's one of the rules we had in the UK. You couldn't sit down on a park bench. They would say, if you were walking, you had to walk past the bench. They would tape off the benches, and you weren't allowed to take a coffee or a cup of tea because they would class that as a picnic, and you weren't allowed picnics, right?
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing. So I would post pictures like sitting on a bench, like, hey, this is my bench today. And apparently it was just so bad.
That's you being a badass, is just sitting down. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this girl's got to go. She's got to get on. We're not having her on Instagram anymore. So it was
amazing.
So ridiculous.
And so now, similarly to the Twitter files, which was a big deal here in the US, which unearthed a lot of truths about so many things, from just basically how Twitter worked hand in hand with the FBI. Twitter was paid by the FBI to censor. conservative accounts, the truth about the Hunter Biden laptop story, so much. I don't know if the one came out about Fauci or not, but Facebook, the collusion between big tech and the FBI, so much. And so now in the UK, you have something called the LockdownFiles. Did this just come out this week?
Yeah, so a little bit is coming out every day, kind of like the Twitter files, like Twitter files 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got more of the messages coming out each day. So the messages are from our former health secretary. His name's Matt Hancock, and he wrote this book. This guy's ego is insane. So he wrote this book, and the journalist, I guess he shared information with the journalist in his WhatsApp messages. So this journalist had all these WhatsApp messages that he'd been sending to other people within the government, the media, all over basically. And she's leaked them all to the newspaper, The Telegraph, and so they keep coming out. So today's was probably one of the worst. It shows him talking about withholding funding for a kids' disability centre if the MP, which is the Member of Parliament, opposed the lockdown. So that's how that played out. Basically, you oppose the lockdown and we're going to block funding for your disabled children's centre. And this is what happened. So when all these MPs wouldn't stand up against lockdowns, now you realize why they're in this position where they're like, wow, what do I do? I'm not going to get the funding for the disabled kids anymore. So we saw that. We've got messages from him literally saying, if we talk about a new strain, it will frighten the pants off them. And that way we can modify their behavior. And then he says, when do we deploy the new strain? So he's just, it's not crazy, because I kind of assumed all of this from like the beginning, but it's crazy to see it in black and white in front of you.
It's something you had a feeling, like your gut was telling you, your common sense was telling you this was going on, but to see it in print, it is kind of surreal. And that's so similar to how, we felt with all the Twitter files coming out. Exactly. And I'm sure whenever the info comes out about the injections, it'll be like, yeah, we fucking knew this. We told you so.
And then the problem we have in the UK a little bit is that, most people, like my parents called me and they're like, oh my God, have you seen this? You're so right. But then you have some people saying, no, I don't believe them. I think they're made up. And then you have other people who are supposed to be on the side saying, well, what about the jabs? What about this? And it's like, hold on a minute. Let's not forget what the control mechanism was. Let's not forget, let's not forget lockdowns. Because if you think back, lockdowns were the reason a lot of people took the jabs, because they were promised freedom from the lockdowns. They've been locked down so long that they were told that this is the only way we're ever going to return to normal.
Right. If no one's freedom was restricted, I think people would have clearly not been pressured if, the lockdowns went hand in hand with people's jobs being threatened. Like, I lost my day job because I wouldn't get it. So it just was like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Like, I think it's a fair trade. So I was like, I could probably get another day job if I really needed to. But
that's so disgusting. See, we're really lucky in the UK it didn't get to that. There were so many protests. Just so many of us took to the streets, and they did it with care workers. They sacked 40,000 care workers. So not nurses and doctors, but the people that,
like nursing home attendants or like, okay.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then when you come out of hospital, say you've had an operation, you might have, a care worker come visit you, or if you're old or whatever, they can come to your house, or like you said, the nursing homes. They got rid of them, and then they were going to go for the doctors and nurses. But somehow I think all the protests managed to stop it. But to see how it was happening where you are, and the way it unfolded, and how people like you lost your jobs, was just wild.
It's okay. I was like over the job mentally anyway. I was there for 6 years. I was kind of over it. I'm going to go through this article really quick. Matt Hancock, and explain to me again who Matt Hancock is.
So he's the health secretary. So maybe
So he's your Fauci.
Yeah. I'd say he was Fauci.
Okay. British Fauci discussed a plan to block funding for a new center for disabled. This is unreal for disabled children and the adults as a way of pressuring a rebel Tory MP to back new lockdown restrictions. The Lockdown Files show. WhatsApp messages between Mr. Hancock, the then health secretary, and his political aide show they discussed a plan for a learning disability hub in Bury, Greater Manchester, off the table if James Daly, the Bury North MP, sided against the government in a key vote. Like, this happens all the time in government. It's like everybody's doing each other favors. It's just we don't hear about them publicly. It came ahead of the vote on December 1st, 2020 on the introduction of a toughened new local tier system of restrictions for England. The Telegraph has also obtained a WhatsApp message with an attached list of 95 Conservative MPs planning to vote against the tier system and detailing their concerns about it. The list was referred to by ministers as the vote approached, and anxiety about a possible rebellion by backbench Conservative MPs increased. Alan Nixon, Mr. Hancock's political aide overseeing relations with MPs in Parliament, messaged his boss with a suggestion of how to ensure the backing of as many Tory MPs as possible from the 2019 intake who won their seats in the Boris Johnson landslide. In a message to Mr. Hancock sent on November 22, 2020, Mr. Nixon said, Mr. Daly, whose constituency is most marginal in the UK mainland with a majority of just 105, told the Telegraph he was appalled and disgusted that the disability hub for which he had been campaigning had been discussed as a way of coercing him into voting with the government. He said he had never been contacted by the whip's office and no threat to block the scheme had been made. Jake Berry, Tory MP for Rossendale and Darwin, called the Telegraph's revelations an absolute disgrace and said Mr. Hancock should be dragged to the bar of the House of Commons to explain himself on Tuesday morning. It comes as the Telegraph reveals further WhatsApp messages showing, I always say WhatsApp, showing Mr. Hancock plan to give French COVID patients places in UK hospitals. This is almost like exactly what Cuomo did in New York by putting the COVID positive patients in nursing homes. It's like almost like they had the same marching orders.
But we were told that like our hospitals were so busy and so full, but it's okay. We can have some French people flown over or however they come over to go into our hospitals.
Oh, we have room for French people. They're thin. It'll be fine. And it's also emerged that Sir Chris Whitty, the chief medical officer for England, told the government not to introduce an effective sex ban during the first lockdown. Oh, I remember that. People were trying to be like, oh, don't have sex. And that didn't really work here in our country because we're full of gays. Simon Case, the cabinet secretary, has faced a backlash for his part in the discussions over lockdown. The Telegraph has revealed that he described Mr. Johnson as distrusted and has previously reported that he called it hilarious that holidaymakers returning to Britain were locked up in hotel rooms. Current and former senior civil servants described his comments as naive and cringeworthy and questioned whether he would remain in post. The attempts to keep MPs on side are contained in WhatsApp conversations obtained by the Telegraph and included in the Lockdown Files. On the morning of the vote, Mr. Hancock messaged his advisor to say, James Daly is with us, but Mr. Nixon responded with the caveat, if extra hospitality support is forthcoming. Oh, wow. So this is basically detailing like how politicians were manipulated to vote a certain way in terms of lockdowns.
Yeah, and then there's others saying the way they used fear tactics and how they could, use the variant to scare a few more people and change their behavior, and how excited they were. We can't wait to see, the people come off first class air travel, like musicians or whatever, and go into like the little Holiday Inns, these tiny little box rooms. They were excited by it. It was just shows what control power freaks they are.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's gross. It's tricky to understand like how you guys talk about your tiers and how like your names for things are different.
Oh yeah, so they put the whole country into this like tier system, right? So it's like Staffordshire level 1 tier, Cheshire level 3 tier, like is in danger, and you weren't allowed to travel from like zone to zone. It's so stupid. And then they'd be like, well, you can't go to restaurants in tier 3 because it's high risk. But then people would just get in their cars and they would sneak through and they would just go to a restaurant there. And like, you know, this imaginary county border, there's nothing stopping you. Just get in your car and cross it. It was just so stupid.
That's what you said. You mentioned the rule of 6, like only having, how arbitrary is that? Oh yeah, you can only have 6 people. We had crazy rules like that too, like Cuomo in New York. You know, they even sold little like decals of his face, because I remember it was like probably Christmas 2020 and people would stick these decals of like Andrew Cuomo like looking into the house to make sure they were under a certain amount. Like people just didn't take them seriously. It's like you're gonna have a hard time trying to keep families from gathering at the holidays. Although a lot of people were scared and took it upon themselves to keep their other family members away. You know, they did a good job of scaring everybody.
You know, I was hearing that out of California. Like, I think I lost half of my Californian friends. Like, the others are the ones like me who are just like, F this. We're going to see our friends. We're going to see our family. We're still going to have people over for Christmas. And then the other half were like, yeah, Leilani, you're so irresponsible. Why aren't you wearing a mask? I'm like, first of all, we don't even need to wear masks in the UK at the moment. I had all my English and my California friends like telling me just how awful I was. And I was like, it's not even a mandatory here right now. I mean, they did become mandatory later on and I still didn't wear one, but I was being lectured by them. I'm like, I'm not doing it. So, you know, and then I lost a few then I lost a few more when I wouldn't do lockdowns, and I lost a few more where I wouldn't get injected, all of that. It was just whatever.
Yeah, honestly, same. Like I lost a bunch of friends when I went from hosting a show at a gay bar every month to a show on Compound Media, which is a free speech network. And then when I voted for Trump, and then January 6th, and then like by then it's like everybody was gone. Then,
but then I bet you met some amazing new people, because I did.
Oh, yeah. Much better people. Mm-hmm.
Much better. It was like a nice clear out, actually. And the good thing is I've met some amazing people whose paths we'd never have crossed had it not been for this.
Were you meeting people online, or would you go to like rallies or anything in public?
Both, yeah. I go to the rallies all the time, but also online. Yeah, I met some really great people online too.
I found this video. Let's see if I can play it. This is interesting. This video is being heavily censored. Can't think why. I wonder if this is something you heard before, but it's basically Boris Johnson. And then halfway through the video, they have to actually change his voice.
It's always worth, even if you get this illness, or even in the elderly groups, it won't be moderate.
You know, it is clear that the risk is very heavily weighted towards older people, but I think people translate that into, if I'm old and then I get it, I'm likely to pass away. Actually, the great majority of people will survive this, even if they're in their 80s.
Wow, I guess this was from early in the lockdowns.
Yeah, so that's what happened. So it obviously everything kept changing. 1 minute they were like, you don't need a mask, then you do. Then we're not going to lock down, then we will lock down. Then don't worry, it's not as bad. It's only in the elderly. And then next thing it's like, no, it's like going to kill everybody. So they changed the information, and then the one that they're all stuck on is, you know, the last thing is everyone's just going to die kind of thing. But I think in reality, it wasn't happening that way. And then also when it was, you have to ask yourself about the protocols that were in place early doors. I remember seeing doctors. There was a doctor from New York, actually, who right away said we should not be putting people on ventilators immediately. And then I know there were nurses that said, it's insane. There are people here who have like COPD and they would normally be given oxygen, but we're not allowed to give them oxygen because we don't want the aerosols to spread just in case it's COVID. So these are things where people would normally be given oxygen, and instead of giving it to them, they just kind of let them
disrupted their normal care. Yeah, it completely changed their plan. That's wild. That is wild. I want to pull up. Let's see. I want to pull up this. Gosh, where did it go? I think it's so interesting just talking about how the lockdowns, because I had Jess Gill on earlier, and she was she's like a political commentator. She's had a couple of like viral man on the street videos, and she was 16 when the lockdowns happened. And she was telling me that a lot of her peers and friends, actually the lockdowns caused them to be more susceptible to like joining up with like the trans movement, and like it made them confused in their identity. Yeah, because they're home online, like looking at TikTok and YouTube, and they're like, oh my God, look at these glamorous influencers. And yeah, so I'll be interested to see how the numbers kind of tick up, if they even do studies on that. Who knows?
Well,
I doubt
that's
it.
the thing. I mean, there's definitely a social contagion there, and I can imagine. When I see Jess, she speaks pretty well, so I always forget how young she is.
Right. Same.
And, yeah. So yeah, I guess when you're 16 and you're stuck at home, like, what are you going to do? You're going to just be on your phone. You can't go out. You can't play sport. You can't do anything, right? So all you can do is sit there watching your phone, and the amount of BS that comes in through your eyes, I can't even imagine. And so, yeah, there's a huge social contagion there, especially to see the way these people are worshipped and held in such high regard. Like that dude that went to the White House and got a chance to interview Biden.
Meghan. Oh, not Meghan Markle. Dylan Mulvaney. Yeah.
And then the other one, Jeffrey something, that's telling everybody about.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Marsh. Jeffrey Marsh.
Jeffrey Marsh.
Yeah.
Right.
Different one. He's just got a contract with like a tampon brand, and then I think Hershey's used some dude for their Women's Day thing. I don't know. It's like, it's all just so crazy to me.
Wow. That is so crazy. What are your feelings on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? Do you guys care? Do you not care?
No, you know what? I wish I could say I don't care, but I just can't stand them. I cannot stand them. Do you know what? When she first came over, I thought she was beautiful. I was so excited. And I think that's reflective of a lot of English people, right? That they were so happy to see somebody that was a little different, olive skin, dark hair, gorgeous. Because she is beautiful until you kind of get to know her.
Get to know her. You hear her talk. Yeah. And you're like,
and then when this whole thing came out that they were going to move away for privacy, or they wanted out the public because the British people were racist and all of this, I was like, hold on a minute. You're going to go to LA, or you're going to Canada via Canada. No one goes to Los Angeles or California for privacy. Like,
no. It's like, move to Montana, like move to the sticks, move to middle America. Yeah, don't go to LA. And they're going to all these posh like nightclubs, all these private clubs, like very elite level places, basically. So,
and they were preaching to the British public about what we should do and how we shouldn't use so much, we shouldn't fly so much, or we shouldn't use so much gas, or we should be more green.
Yeah, you first.
Jump in their private jets, and people were like, "Shut up, hypocrites! Like, you're such hypocrites." And then it was the whole thing when they were leaving. First of all, no one really cared that much. Everyone was excited about the wedding. Like, she must have been obsessed reading all the negative press about her. She must have just sat there with the papers reading any little snippet and holding it on to her. And then she was like so desperate to change everybody's mind. And then the next thing they're like, right, let's go away because we want privacy. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. I know what's happened here. She thought marrying a prince would be this glamorous life and she'd be a princess. And she's never going to be a princess. She'll always be a duchess. And then you have duties and you have to do kind of boring things. I wouldn't want to do them. You go
paperwork. What does she have to do?
So her duties would have been like, I don't know, she'd have to go to a factory up north in a part of the country that wasn't that nice. And she is meant to listen to people. So she thinks she's like Diana. She's the complete opposite of Diana. Diana listened to people. She just wants to speak to people. But you know what? They're not there to listen to you, Meghan. You go to the factory and you have to listen to them and hear about their daily life and ask them questions. It's not like you. And I think that she thought it was going to be like red carpet and glamour this and a bit like the Kardashians.
Because she's an actress. She's like in LA. She was doing Suits. She was like the freaking suitcase chick. I forget the name of that show.
Oh, yeah. Deal or No Deal.
Yeah.
Oh, and then she comes out. See, this is the thing with her. And then she comes out and just says how awful it was and how she was objectified.
Oh, sure.
I remember when I was in LA, I was like, oh my God, it's like the dream job. It's just so easy. You just sit there and make loads of money.
A lot of us would love to be objectified, Meghan, okay? So you're very lucky. And it's like, you know your career is due in large part to your looks. And like, while it's all happening for you, she wasn't complaining. But now it's like, after the fact, it's so lame.
Yeah, no, it's so lame. So when they go over there, it's like everyone would have respected them more if they just said, listen, you know, royal duties aren't for me. We're going to go and build our own life. People might have felt differently, but the whole thing about turning it into the British public of so against us, so we have to go and live, you know, move here for privacy. It's just like, and then the book, everything, the sellout, the whole of it, is just a complete embarrassment. So I love the South Park cartoon. The
privacy tour. Yeah. I did not read Prince Harry's book. No. I'm there. It's like, okay, well, it could be worse, Prince Harry. Like you could be poor, okay?
Can you imagine though, like having that level of I don't even know what it is to be
ungratefulness. Yeah,
to be so privileged, yet go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and relate to people by moaning about how bad my life is. And
it's very American. Like it's totally Meghan's influence. Like I'm rich and privileged. Oh, but I'm still like I'm still racism. Like, oh, my life is still so hard. It's like, okay, they want it.
And
all.
The example, that was the worst thing. The example they used for racism as well. Like, oh, they asked, you know, what skin tone the baby would be. Like, this is so stupid. Yeah. My mom's from the Philippines.
Dumb questions that people don't know what to say. They're like, your baby, like a baby, you know.
My mom's from the Philippines, and I promise you, they were all saying, what are her eyes going to be like? What shape eyes will she be light like my dad? Will she be dark like, you know, me, her mom? Or
right, that's normal.
You know, and then when my niece was born, it was the same thing. I was like, oh my God, is she going to look like my sister? Is she going to be like Olive? What is she going to be like? Is she going to have eyebrows like her dad or a little bald patch? You know, it's like, yeah.
That's normal questions that people ask, but because they're asking it of her, like, oh, it's racism because Meghan Markle's half black or whatever. So the baby's like going to be just a quarter black, which is barely enough to notice, really. It's just, they're making a big fuss out of nothing.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's funny that they come here expecting and now they're being snubbed by Hollywood, which I love. Hollywood is tired of their lack of decorum. Ooh. See, in this country, we stopped caring even about our own celebrities, so we're not going to care about somebody else's celebrities. It's hard. I think the time for I don't know. The time for royal, I think, fuss peaked in this country, I think, in the early 2000s. And then just something about the pandemic and COVID, people are over celebrities generally.
Yeah. Because it was celebrities trying to tell us what to do, and celebrities trying to say to everybody from their big homes, we're all in this together. Hey.
And you're like, why did you have to film this from your home? Now I get to see how you live. Why couldn't you film this from a McDonald's drive-through like the rest of us are doing?
And it's like, oh yeah, just to say, you look at your big pool there and you're like your mansion, and that's just the same as living in a high-rise with 3 kids.
Yeah, it was bad. I was like,
so
wow.
What's the lack of decorum?
Let's see. I wonder if this has to do with the the club that they went to. Okay, America's enthusiasm for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have been put under. That's interesting what you said, though, by the way, that it was she actually, her duties were to go to factories and just like basically deal with blue collar workers. And she just was like, ugh, no. She did not want to be among the unwashed.
No, it's like, yeah, she didn't want to do all of that. She wanted the glamour and yeah.
I do think that Harry and Meghan expected more support from Hollywood than they have recently received. Oh, God, get over yourselves. Recent months have seen the release of the Netflix docuseries. Yeah, they thought the Oprah interview was going to blow them up, the Netflix docuseries, the book, and everyone's like, are you done? Are you finished?
I know, and that's the thing. It's like they keep on clamoring for it, and they're like, look, if I just do this, it's going to show you that I'm a really good person and I have real hard battles.
They're trying to be like American celebrities, and she's just trying to make it happen, and it's not happening. I don't think. I mean, like they're not broke, but I think they're just expecting to be like VIPs everywhere they go, and just have endless opportunities. I think Harry and Meghan had an amazing opportunity to elevate themselves and actually be Hollywood royalty, but their decorum is making people think twice about the association. Ooh, what are they doing? Okay, the couple thought they would be welcomed by Hollywood, but Harry's claims about the royal family have stopped this from happening. Harry and Meghan did not receive an invite to the 2023 BAFTA events, with claims that they were not welcomed at the 2023 BAFTA. That's basically what, like British Emmys. Tea Part hosted in Los Angeles last month. However, the Prince and Princess of Wales were in attendance at the main event in London, with royal fans thrilled to see the couple on the red carpet. Harry and Meghan, however, are allegedly receiving fewer invitations to glamorous events, probably because they're like too much drama and too much problems right now.
Yeah,
they complain.
And I think they kind of, everyone's probably like, oh, I don't know if I want them to know my secrets, because
right,
that might be the next book.
They'll blast it out.
About. Yeah,
they got big mouths, both of them. Yeah, Harry and Meghan, however, they're receiving fewer invitations as A-listers fear they will become the focus of attention. Oh, snap! Not on the privacy tour. Interesting.
So
wow,
funny.
they're always in like black and white. I wonder if that's her idea. The couple, who were previously hugely popular in the US, sunk in the polls after Prince Harry launched a fresh attack on the royal family and revealed, I think because America too, they see how privileged they are. It's like, yeah, like don't shit on your like you're so lucky to be born into this family and to appreciate it.
I mean, that's the thing. If you look at the Kardashians, right, with the biggest reality show brand ever, I mean, I don't watch it, but it seems like they're very tight in their family. And that's the one thing I think what I've heard of is that people like is that they like will do anything for each other and their family's so tight. So it's like it's the opposite when you're just like shitting all over your family constantly. And then you're moaning about poor me with everything going on in the world right now. And, the price of gas everywhere, everyone's bills, like trying to eat, trying to recover after like being locked away for years. But to hear these people complain about their lives, I think it makes everyone want to vomit.
They're like, oh, we're not getting the right amount of attention or the right kind of attention. Like we want to be famous and rich, but not like they want to be shielded from all criticism. The couple, who were previously hugely popular in the U.S., sunk in the polls. Wow, who's doing polls about them? After Prince Harry launched a fresh attack on the royal family and revealed a range of intimate details. Yeah, this is exactly your point. Like, they're just going to blab everything they hear. Revealed a range of intimate details, such as how he lost his virginity to Sasha Walpole. Who's Sasha Walpole? What a horrible name.
Well, he was really secret about it, but she actually sold the story on him because he spoke about it in the field. So, apparently they had sex in a field, and then he says she rode me like a stallion, and she was, it was like, oh my God,
no.
This is so like cringe. And then I think she got really embarrassed, and then I think the papers went on a mission to find out who she was. They found out it was her. So she was like, well, you know what? You sold your whole thing on me. I'm just going to sell on you now. Or maybe she didn't get paid, but she gave her side of the story.
Oh my
So
God. So this is who Prince Harry lost his virginity to. Okay. Okay.
so it was years back.
Just
But I
a
think the
regular
only
lady.
reason I think she said anything is because he decided to
Yeah.
discuss it in his book.
Yeah. I always wonder if the guy who took my virginity will do a tell-all. He was a roadie from Rusted Root, which is a college band. Okay. Prior to publication, Harry had a favorable rating of 0.38. That plunged by -7 by January 16th. The lack of welcome from Hollywood industry was further pushed by the Sussex inclusion into the satirical cartoon South Park. I don't know, play a snippet. It's so great, and it looks just like them.
It's so brilliant. You know what? I really want the merch from that. It was a friend of mine's birthday, and I was like looking everywhere for like worldwide privacy tour merch, but I think it's like too soon. But I want a mug or something.
It's got to be out there. Okay, let's see. Last month, an episode depicting the Prince and Princess of Canada, a young royal couple who loudly beg for privacy while drawing attention to themselves, aired. The redheaded prince and his wife, who wears the exact same dusty pink outfit that Meghan donned for the Trooping the Color in 2018, are seen promoting the prince's book, the cover, which strongly resembles Harry's memoir, Spare. The episode is filled with swipes at the Sussexes, with main character Steyn branding their cartoon equivalents with the dumb prince and his stupid wife, while Kyle complains about the private jet parked outside their home. This is great. What they're saying is these two are not sincere people. They say they want their privacy while going on every television show, writing books, doing 6 hours of Netflix. They broke it down and said they're not very likable. People are tired of them. TV presenter Nick Eady, who claimed to have a friendship with the Duchess of Sussex 41 before she met Harry, claimed that the couple did not realize they wouldn't be accepted as Hollywood royalty when they moved to California. They're kind of quite far down, really, in that pecking order. And I think that that's been an issue with them in that sense of stepping. Man, they really screwed themselves. Because weren't they getting kicked out of basically their royal residence? I guess they still have a home over there, and they're getting kicked out of that too.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're giving it to Prince Andrew. It's kind of funny. It's all like, it's such a mess. It's such a mess.
I think the thing is that you forget that in Hollywood, royalty isn't somebody with a title. It's J-Lo, it's Sharon Stone, it's Beyonce, it's the Kardashians. That's their royalty. Wow. Yep. They really stepped in it.
I mean, when you think of Hollywood royalty, those people, well, I'm not saying the Kardashians, but, the movie stars and the singers, they actually have talent. So, like, what are these guys are? She married a prince, and it's like, you suddenly want to be Hollywood royalty? Come on. It's delusional.
Wah, wah. Too bad. Too bad, guys. Justin, another talking hand. Thank you for the super chat. She is only a quarter black. Yes, that's true. Chidsy, glad to see one or my teenage crushes age like fine wine and not a cosmetic surgeon's pinata. Leilani and Jet from Gladiators. If you know, you know. What? You were in Gladiators?
No, that's me. You know what's funny? He's talking about somebody called Jet from Gladiators. I think he's saying that Jet from Gladiators is also his old pinup, maybe old crush. It's so funny because I used to love Jet from Gladiators, like, because when I was younger, she was like obviously older than me, and she was on this show like Gladiators.
Similar. Okay, clearly he's into brunettes. We know his type. Yeah. That's so cute. This is so 90s. I'm obsessed.
I used to want to be her so badly. Like, she was like my hero. And apparently the funny thing is she wasn't even in that many episodes of Gladiator, but she's just like one of the most memorable.
Yeah, because she's gorgeous.
Yeah, I wanted to be Jet.
That was a great show.
It was really fun with the pugil sticks and the
so
fighting.
Oh my gosh. That's great. I had a big crush on New Kids on the Block. Actually, the biggest deal was like when I I think when I turned 14 or something, I got a Joey doll for my birthday and I freaked out. I forget Joey's last name,
Aw.
but he wasn't even the best looking new kids on the block. I just was like, I know, I just felt that he was the most accessible. He was the blonde one.
Who was the cutest, do you think? I only
I think
remember.
Jordan might have been. Let's see. Let's look it up. New kids on the.
Was it Donnie? It wasn't Mark Wahlberg. It was Donnie Wahlberg that was in New Kids, right?
Ooh, let's see. Back in the day, it's so weird because like, how old were these guys? Oops, how old are these kids? Like, were they even legal age?
Well, you weren't when you got your Joey doll.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, maybe they were okay in 1989. Oh, none of this is helping. Let's see. Oh my god, they all look insane.
Was it Donnie Wahlberg? Was he in it? It wasn't Mark.
Yes, he was.
Okay, it was Donnie. Okay. I don't really, and I remember Joey.
Yeah, that's Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh yeah, you could tell. Which one was Joey? Is Joey the one in the middle?
Oh my god, I don't even know. I think that's Joey. Gosh darn it, I don't. This is definitely. Is that not Joey?
No, that's Donnie in the middle.
No, that's Donnie.
There. I think Joey's in the top one wearing the black.
Ew, one of them had a rat
hat.
tail. This is crazy. I can't believe I was into these boys.
See, that's a funny thing. Like, I was just into like horses. I never had the boy band thingies. That's the thing with equestrians. It just keeps you out of all kind of trouble.
I think this one was Joey.
That's Joey. Yeah.
And this is Donnie. God, remember these hats? Everybody had these hats. Wow.
Oh, Joey was cute. I understand why you might have wanted to. There's that one in the red. He's got like a big. Is that a thing hanging?
A mullet, like a rat tail. Yeah.
That's a long one hanging down.
Okay. New
wow.
Kids on the Block members. Might have to buy some new merch. Okay, Jordan Knight. Oh, Jonathan and Jordan Knight, Joey McIntyre, Donnie Wahlberg, and Danny Wood.
Oh yeah, Jordan Knight.
This is really throwing me back. What did Jordan Knight look like? Okay. I only really remember Joey. Donnie Wahlberg. Wow, looks like definitely a grown man. Danny Wood was the one with the rat tail.
Okay. He looks better now. I've got to say that he looks better now than he did then.
Yeah, Jonathan Knight and Danny Wood look okay now. Wow. Now they're probably all full of Botox. Step by step. Oh, baby. Gonna get to you, girl.
See, do you know what? I forgot how good they were actually. I think I liked them at the time a lot. They were much better than our like boy bands. But I wasn't really into like too many boy bands.
Who were your boy bands? Wait, 98 Degrees, that was us.
We had Boyzone and Take That and East 17. Some of the songs were okay actually. But they weren't I don't think they went like stateside like One Direction or anything did. I don't know.
Oh yeah, One Direction was big. Yeah, you had Queen. That's true. That was a big one.
Oh, and we had. I mean, if we're gonna go down that, we had Queen, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. So you know, and then music turned shit.
Now it's all bad. Now it's all what's her face, Icy Hot. I can't remember her name. The black girl with the red hair who sucks.
Oh, do you know what? I don't even think I would know any of the songs in the top 10 anymore. Like. Even the top 20, I don't even,
It's not relevant anymore. It's done. There's no more new music.
I'm just going to keep replaying my old stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to go listen to some Ace of Base after this. My God, Leilani, what is coming up for you? Where can people watch you on the Mark Steyn show? Is it on YouTube? Is it online? Where can they find you?
It's on Steyn Online. I usually am a contributor to him on Wednesdays, so not all Wednesdays, but most Wednesdays. Yeah, and that's where you can see me. If not, I'll be on Twitter, probably mouthing off about something, or maybe my Instagram. Put a couple of things on there, and aside from that, I'll be just riding my horses the rest of the time.
My God, how lovely! You're like not. This is why, like, you look so like I think horses are. I don't know. It's the fountain of youth. I gotta get myself a horse.
You know what though? I do not look like this most of the time. I finally got some makeup on. My fiance loves it when I do a podcast because he's like, "Oh my God, you actually wash your hair and you make some kind of effort." You know, usually I'll come in and his kind way of being like, "You stink." It's like he'll give me a hug and he's like, "Oh, Earth Woman today."
He calls you Earth Woman? That's so cute.
And it's like his way of saying, please just go wash your hair.
Earth Woman.
I'm out like mucking out my horses' stables like every day. Like I do that. They're at home now, so I have to do it myself. And he's just like,
I'll say like if I think Frank stinks, I'll be like, oh, like do you have to shower? Or like I'm so bad at it. I'm so not slick. I'm like, oh, maybe you could shower.
Yeah, no, I just remember coming in after mucking him out one day and he was just like, gave me a hug, could smell my hair, and he's like, yeah, Earth Woman.
That's really cute.
I'm like, oh, right, okay, I'm going shower.
Wow. I think I have a pretty good sense of like when I smell, but
yeah,
when in doubt, every day. Yeah.
This is the thing, but I just know I have to go muck out my horses first, and you don't understand. Horse urine absolutely stinks. I will tell you, it gets everywhere. I have to have a whole set
they pee on you?
No, but like when you muck out and you dig up the straw, and I think it releases like this ammonia. It's not the poo that smells, it's the
you have to dig their pee and their poop.
Yes, you dig up the poo, and then it's in their stable, so there'll be like wood shavings or straw, and then every day I take probably a wheelbarrow to 2 wheelbarrows of poo and straw out, and then this straw's like soaked in wee, and it kind of like just gets in the atmosphere, and it
so it's like a big hamster cage, really, because I had hamsters. Put the bedding down, but they didn't poop that much.
I love hamsters. They're so cute, but it's like a massive hamster cage, and you take 2 wheelbarrows of muck out every day, and then it like gets in your wellies, and wellies are like the rubber boots.
Okay, the boots, yeah. I knew that.
It gets in that, and like you don't want to drive a car with a heater on when you're wearing your mucking out wellies, because it's like it's just
the gets in the air.
So but I've just like slid the conversation down on the last.
No, it's cool. I'm interested in horses. Can horses like, do they react if they like don't like the vibe of a person, or are they pretty trusting?
I think they're pretty trusting. They really pick up on like people's energy. They can tell if people are scared, or some horses are more sensitive than others. So like I have one who, you think she knows what I'm thinking, because she's and she's looking at everything, and she's got like this photographic memory. So if like a trash can is out one day and it wasn't out the day before, she'd know, and she jumps like on all fours and was like and then they just pick up people's vibes. They kind of know, like, if you're gentle with them, they'll be like gentle, and if you're scared,
does the horse like ever tell you like you're gaining weight or something? They'll be like, oh my God,
I can't carry you. But saying that, like, it's really crazy, because I've seen these like really obese people on social media either complaining that they can't find clothes for riding, or that they weren't allowed on a horse. And it's like, hold on a minute, this isn't like a motorcycle or a car. This is a living animal. Like, it's not being fat phobia to say you shouldn't be on the back of a horse.
And if animals could speak, they'd be like, get off me, you're fat.
Yeah.
Like they would have no qualms. They'd be like, I want to keep my back intact here.
Yeah, I've got 30 years to live. Like, get the hell off my back.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool.
So yeah.
I'm saving up for a horse. It starts today.
Yeah, I mean, they get you out in the fresh air and stuff. So
Yeah. Plus, I love the fashion. Like, I love the boots. Like, the whole equestrian aesthetic is so chic and like rich woman. I want to look that way so people think I'm doing well.
You know what? Then don't get the horses, because then the horses just eat and poop out your money, and then you end up never looking like that because they just cover you in like straw and muck and slobber.
Okay. So I'm just gonna get a
So
horsewoman outfit and be like, oh yes,
yeah,
the horses. I'll get to them eventually. Anyway, how are you? And the whip, yeah.
yeah, and then don't get the horse, because then you end up just looking like a hobo.
Oh, we have a horse question.
Is that? It might be a joke.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. What do you call a gay horse?
I think the joke is, what do gay horses eat? You guys messed. You can't even. You guys got to get your shit together in the chat. It's hey. Okay.
I think that's what the joke was meant to be.
We got there eventually. Leilani, you're an absolute delight. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for being a brave voice and speaking up. It's always cool to see like what's going on in other countries. Follow Leilani on TikTok, on Twitter. Watch her on the Mark Steyn show. Instagram too, Lonnie Dowd. Anything else?
No, just thank you for having me on and giving me a platform, and for everything that you're doing as well.
We'll have to get you on Simpcast. You're fun. Everyone loves you. It's gonna happen.
Hey, I'm always here. It's like, if I'm not riding horses, then like I've got nothing to do. So
Yeah,
get me on.
Don't ride horses on Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll make it happen. Thank you to the chat. You guys are pretty well behaved. It was pretty good today. Good questions, good comments, and thanks for joining. We'll see you guys next time.